Things you thought were normal, but you were just a walking warning sign. Grab your blankie, sit down, and let's talk about it. What I have with me here is a little list in no particular order. I thought this t-shirt would be a perfect addition to the video. Very accurate. I thought I would wear it every time we talk about HEDS or EDS in general. I have HEDS, so that's the one I'm going to be talking about the most because that's my experience. If you have your own experience of things that I did not mention in this video, feel free to put them down in the comment and I'll either make a second video or I'll put them up if I could. Before we start, a little warning, I am not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a specialist. I'm just talking about my experience, the things that I've noticed and the things that helped me get diagnosed. And if you're in a hurry, then I have wrote down everything that I've listed in this video down in the comments and I pinned it. But without further ado, let's start. Things I didn't know were caused by HEDS as someone that was recently diagnosed at 27 years old. For the longest time, I thought these things were normal. They were not. Spoiler alert. They were causing me pain. They were causing me discomfort, but I thought everybody was feeling that. Flash news, they were not. The normal amount of pain is 0 pain. And I honestly don't remember the time where I ever had a 0 amount of pain on the pain scale. If you see me fidgeting a lot, I just do that. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of nice because I feel like I'm just on FaceTime with you guys and we're just chit-chatting. I'm not really into formal videos. It's not the kind of thing that I like to make, or at least to start with. One of the things that I've noticed a lot was finding random bruises all over my body where I don't remember how I got them, how did they get there, and the thing is, I don't remember something big happening because a lot of people, they need a big event to cause a bruise or a big injury, but I feel like for us, it's so easy to get bruised. You get hit by the wind a little too hard and you've got a bruise the next day. So every time I've went and discovered some sort of bruise, I was like, wait, I don't remember how this happened. Nothing major happened. I didn't feel that I was hit or anything like that, but the bruises were always there. They were all over the place. There was not any pattern. There was nothing that made it obvious as of why I got any bruises. Same goes with having scars and pigmentations from really small things that took years to heal and fade away. I kind of got hit by a tiny little branch on my leg and it left a darkened pigment after the scar, and that took at least 3 years to go away. And sometimes I can still see the pigmentation a little bit. So it's insanely slow how slow we heal, how easily we get bruised, and just you wake up and there's just something random there. Another weird thing that I've experienced that I actually am not sure if other people have experienced is that my fingers are so sensitive and they get irritated from wearing rings for a long time. And sometimes if I've worn a ring for, let's say, weeks, I didn't take it off because I like having stable jewelry, at least one ring that I always have on my hand. There's nothing on my hand right now because yes, they're irritated. But for example, I used to wear a ring on this finger right here, and it got so irritated that even me touching it with my other finger, it felt like there were needles there. I couldn't put my ring on, I couldn't touch it. Sometimes even it would just be hot randomly, just that one little area where the ring was, which I don't think I haven't at least heard other people talk about, and I don't know if just I'm weird for that. So even wearing bracelets, necklaces sometimes, if I'm in those moods where my skin is feeling super sensitive than usual, I just can't have them on me. I like want to take them off as soon as possible. How easily things leaves marks on you. Sometimes when you lean on a desk and then where you lean, say right here, there's a line where it's red. That usually takes, I feel like, somewhat of a while for normal people for that to affect their skin. But I feel like with people with HEDS, that happens a lot easier, a lot sooner, and with really little things. This is really funny. When I put my hair tie on, when I take it off, there's a ring. You can see exactly where my hair tie was, which I think is insane. One of the big warning signs that weren't just a little quirky thing that happened was the amount of joint and bone pain that I've had. And if people tell you that bone pain doesn't exist, what do you mean your bones hurt? That's crazy. It does exist. Don't let anyone lie to you. It's true. My bones have hurt my entire life. When I was younger, it was labeled as growing pains. I think that's a lot of BS. Generally, it makes sense. You're growing, your bones are stretching if that's how it works. But I think that's one of the things that unfortunately a lot of people don't get diagnosed because of every time you go to the doctor and you're like, oh, my bones hurt. They're like, oh, it's just growing pain. You're just growing. But no. So my bones used to hurt. I don't know if this is ADHD related, but my bones used to hurt the most in winter whenever it was cold. So the colder it got, the more pain I felt in my bones, especially my forearms. That happened quite a lot. It was very persistent. Why I thought I have just somehow fractured my arm and I didn't know about it. And that's why every time, because I know fractures, whenever the cold hits, even if it's healed, it hurts. So I was like, oh, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I've fractured my arm somehow. I don't know how I did both arms in the same way, but I somehow did that. And now it's healed, but every time the cold comes around, the pain comes back. So that kind of made sense to me at the time, but now I know it was not growing pain. It was not fractured. It was just HEDS. It was the fact that my joints weren't stable, the fact that my connective tissue was not stable. And just generally, I feel like people with HEDS just have bone pain, regardless of whatever it is. The inability to stand still for a very long time or stand in one specific position, that was really hard for me. I couldn't stand straight. And back in the day, I don't know why, but especially my family was just so obsessed with being able to just stand straight, your legs are straight, you're straight, everything proper. I couldn't do that. I used to switch on one hip every time. I'm like, oh God, this is so tiring. How are people just standing straight? I'm like, why do people torture themselves? They don't. They find that so easy to do. I did not know that that was an issue. I just couldn't do it. And every time people would be like, oh my God, you're so lazy. Oh my God, why can't you just stand straight? They chucked it up to me being like a kid and being hyperactive. I just couldn't stand straight. That was an unnatural position for me. That was painful. Even though I was super active as a kid, I ran around a lot, I played a lot. I had a weird habit of climbing the door frames. Don't ask me why. I enjoyed doing that. That was fun for me. So even though I did all of that, even though I was really good at sports, I was really good at gymnastics as well, to an extent. The pain was still there. The inability to do, I could do so many flips for you, but I just could not stand straight. I could climb the door frame and sit on top of the door for hours on end, and that was fine for me, but standing straight was a struggle. How does that make sense? One of the things is what people consider just a small activity or a fun little activity or something that they can do in their spare time could be just so damaging to someone with HEDS and could cause a flare-up that could last for days. For example, a couple weeks ago, I think, I went with my lovely partner and his family to do bowling, and that was a lot of fun. I had such a good time. We only did 2 sessions, which you would think is not a lot. And honestly, that bound me in bed for about 3 days at least. I was only able to get up, eat, drink, do my necessities and stuff, but I was exhausted, I was in pain, things were super hard. And that was just from bowling, and that wasn't even that much. To normal people, that's nothing. So sometimes dealing with that can be just so disheartening because you're like, oh, look at people, they're just doing that and they're doing a million things in the day, and you do one little thing and somehow your body is like, nope. It feels like you went to hike Mount Everest or some shit like that. It's exhausting, it's annoying, but It's the reality that sometimes we have to live with as someone that have those conditions. And don't get me wrong, I don't like to complain too much or feel too bad for myself because I know a lot of people have it worse, but there's equally a lot of people who have it better, and sometimes it's hard to see that. And sometimes it's hard to just accept that, I guess, because especially for someone that used to be so active when they were younger and they did things so easily, regardless of the pain that I had and regardless of the small little things that were normal that I couldn't do. I was very active. I didn't have as much flare ups when I was younger. So getting hit with that realization when you're older, where you're like, oh, fuck, I can't do a lot of things that I used to do. I can't do even little things sometimes. Things can make me flare up. And sometimes you flare up with no reason at all. So getting with that reality can be really hard. Another thing that I've heard is very close related with POTS. I am not diagnosed with POTS, so I don't know. But I do have that sensation where you stand up too fast and you just get dizzy. Sometimes even when you stand slow, you get super dizzy. That's definitely one of the things that I've struggled with for the longest time. A lot of doctors thought it could be low iron, and sometimes it was. But even when I had really good iron, even when I was eating really well, even when I was drinking really well, sometimes I would stand up and I would just get dizzy. And one big thing that's very closely related to this actually is I have a chronic low blood pressure. Every time I go to the doctor and they try to test me out for blood pressure, they're like, oh, do you even have a heartbeat? Are you even alive? They just love to make that joke, which I do think it's a little funny. If you're at the doctor and you're really stressed, sometimes it's nice when the doctors are listening to you, but at the same time, they're like, let me throw a joke here and there to just lighten the mood, I guess. And sometimes that could be funny. Another thing that I've noticed, and I'm afraid to say this on the internet because I don't want to be cooked. I don't want to be cooked alive, but a lot of people think I'm a lot younger than I actually am. I have that happen quite a lot. There are a lot of times where I was working, I used to be at work, and people will come up to me and say, oh, why aren't you at school? This is illegal, you can't be working. Definitely not school age. There are times where I got hit on by people who were underage when I wasn't, and God, that is such an uncomfortable position to be in. You just feel a little grossed out. Being ID'd quite a lot when I'm out trying to have a good time, having to have a drink. That used to be so annoying when I was younger, but now I think I'm young. And I know that they have to ask you for your ID up to when they assume you're 35, because a lot of people tend to look younger than they are, but also older than they are. So even though I know that fact, a little bit inside of me, I'm like, stop it. Here's my ID. One of the big things that bother me the most, because I love to eat, I love eating, I love dessert more than anything in the world, but digestive issues, God, horrendous. I remember 2 years ago, I had such a problem with my digestive system that I was constantly bloated. I was in a lot of pain, and it happened so suddenly as well. I've always struggled with digestive issues, but with this time, the bloating was definitely an add-on that did not happen before, at least not as frequently. I used to get bloated before, but that was like all day. And I honestly didn't know what it was from. It was also right before I was diagnosed, probably a year before. But getting chronically bloated, it was so painful. It was so uncomfortable. I couldn't eat well. And tied to that, actually, the inability to have a normal meal, or what people call a normal meal. I cannot have the same amount of food that other people have. I can only have such a small amount. So let's say we go to a cafe, because that's kind of standard around the world what the portion is. They finish their food. I can have maybe most of it, but at least 2 to 3 bites is always left. And I used to get so much shit for it, being like, oh my God, you waste so much food, you don't eat, blah. And I used to feel so guilty for it because I hate wasting food. I hate not being able to finish my food. I paid for it. It's delicious. I want to have it so badly. But if I take one more bite, I'm going to throw up. When you get to that point where you just feel so nauseous and you just can't eat anymore. That happens to me quite often. And because of that, I tend to eat a lot frequently. So most people will have 3 meals a day. I cannot do that. I need to have at least 6 or more because I'm constantly eating a little bit, and then half an hour later I'm hungry again. And then I'm eating a little bit. And then that's just a cycle for the whole day. And that could be really good if you're trying to, I don't know, manage your weight. Because I'm sure people in the comments are going to be like, oh, girl, I wish I had that. You don't. It's so hard for me to gain weight to an alarming point. It's not good for you. And you know how exhausting people complain about having to eat 3 times a day sometimes because you have to constantly be making the food, eating it, cleaning. It takes a lot of time. So having to do that more than 3 times a day is quite fucking exhausting. So having to do that more than 3 times a day is so freaking exhausting. And another big thing that is so difficult for me is, like I said, gaining weight. It's so hard. I have gone to dietitians and everything, but that was also before I was diagnosed. I could not put on weight. The one time that I've put on proper weight where I was really happy, I was at my healthiest, was literally when I was on medication that makes you gain weight. That was basically the only time. And no, being skinny does not make you healthy. I don't want people in the comments being like, oh, girl, I wish I had a natural diet. It's exhausting. You lose a lot of energy a lot of the time, especially when you don't have the time to actually eat. Eating that way makes working such an incredibly difficult thing because you can't just have the 1 to 2 meals or have one lunch as people do, especially when you can't eat that much. I need constant little foods, and workplaces don't accommodate for that. I would take having no chronic illness and being like everybody else than having chronic illness and getting special treatment, which doesn't really exist. Let's be realistic. That's why a lot of chronically ill people don't have jobs. And they can't have jobs, not because they're lazy, not because they don't want to work. It's quite impossible. It's impossible because of your body, and it's impossible because of society and the work expectations and the work schedule. It just doesn't work with you. You only could do creative things. You can only do self-employment things because that way at least you're taking care of yourself the way you deserve, and that is going to help you be productive. Another weird thing that I've noticed as well is, and I know a lot of people who have HEDS resonate with this, but feeling like your head is too heavy for your body. Girl, saying that to people and having them look at you like you're an alien from outer space is just another experience. There are so many times that I've gone up to my poor partner and I was like, hey, so do you think XYZ is normal? Something like, do you think it's normal to feel like your head is too heavy for your neck and your shoulders? And he was like, no. And I was like, oh. So feeling like your head is, you have a hypermobile neck. Most people have HEDS have hypermobile necks. And you just don't have the support in your neck. You don't have the support in your shoulders. And that's why you constantly have headaches, migraines, shoulder pain, neck pain. You're just always like this because not only that you don't have the support that you need, you're also most likely stressed all the time. So your shoulders are just chronically up there. It is so horrible. Even sleeping could be so difficult because you'll go to sleep and then you'll wake up with the worst pain imaginable in your neck and in your shoulders just from sleeping. It's so funny when you tell someone, oh, God, I'm so tired, I'm exhausted. As a chronically ill person, they're like, oh, rest, go sleep. And you're like, I will totally go to sleep and wake up refreshed. Newsflash. Most of the time, you do not. You go to bed, you will wake up with different types of pain. You're not going to feel well rested most of the time, no matter how much you rest. Especially if you're going off the average rest and sleep time that is kind of made for normal people, for healthy people. Another thing that is very different as well from healthy people is how much your joints hyperextend. My hand is just straight, but that hyperextends really easily. Having to do push-ups with that is actually insanity. You have to be so mindful of how you do push-ups when you have hyperextension like that, because you cannot do a normal push-up to save your life. That's just impossible. Another thing is when I go to open something and then how my fingers just, I think that's quite normal. Just joints hyperextending. Obviously, the classic, I don't know if you can see that. Luckily, I can't do it as much as I used to be able to, because you should not be doing that. That's very painful. It used to touch my forearm. Thank God it doesn't anymore. But getting your fingers to be that is weird. Doing this, that was one of my party tricks. I don't know if you can see that. That I used to freak people out with, because I can do that. Obviously, your thumb, you being able to do this. They're very cool party tricks, but going to hold a pen, how exhausting holding a pen like this and writing is, because that extends so much. Oh my god, another one that used to annoy me so much because I used to put so much time into it is your nail polish not staying on your nails, because it just peels off or it just comes off. And I've tried everything. Every time I do my nails at home, even if they're gel nails, they do not stay for the life of me. I'll so much effort into doing my nails and then for them to be gone almost immediately. This is what I've done to my nails. Luckily, these ones have stayed. I've only done them literally a couple days ago. I put on a base coat, I put on nail polish, I put on a top coat. Does it want to stay? No, my nail polish does not want to stick to my nails no matter what I do to hold on to. So now it comes out like a whole sticker. I can literally just glue that back onto my nails sometimes and it would look normal. That is crazy work. One of the big reasons why I'm making this series, because I really want people to feel heard and to relate to probably people that are just struggling with it. They're not just, because the videos that I've seen are more people, some of those people do have it, but a lot of the time it's people who are specialists and not like an average Joe, right? But I want people to not feel alone. I want people to understand that a lot of people are dealing with similar or same things as you are, and no matter how hard that is and how lonely it feels, we're still out there. The zebra community is getting bigger and bigger on a daily basis because awareness is spreading, thank God. So being an advocate or being a voice, telling people and telling you these things, I feel like is something that's really needed in today's society, because it's so easy to feel so defeated and so alone when it comes to chronic illness. I remember I was too, and I hope it might have helped you feel less alone. And I hope that I see you again for the rest of the series. This is my first video, so don't mind it being scuff a little. But I'm sure I'll get better at filming. I'll get better at having my points a lot more organized. But for now, I really hope you guys enjoyed, and please feel free to leave, to subscribe, to follow this series. I'm really excited to make it, and I'm really excited to find my zebra community. I really want to make more friends that have similar conditions to me, because things do feel lonely when you don't have people that are struggling with the same things that you're struggling with. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you sticking to the end of the video. That's really sweet. And I wish you guys a good day. Mwah.